had only just begun.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 5 of the History of Music. Today we will be talking about the history of electronic music in particular. Electronic music was built by Czech electrical researcher Václav Prokop Diviš in 1748, who claimed to be able to recreate string and wind sounds. Things get even more complex in the early 20th century, with a range of instruments that could and would lay claim to chunks of electronic music history. Not least the electric organ and another couple standout devices, notably the Helmholtz sound synthesizer and theremin. The 1920s theremin is a unique device in electronic music making, not so much used to create sounds but perform them. It has a rather atmospheric tone in the way it is produced. A performer can alter the pitch and volume of the sound merely by moving their hand up and down and further away from the device. The next pivotal step in the development of electronic music was the concept of musique concrète. It is an important one in the history of electronic music production because it got people thinking and composing along very different paths compared to using traditional notes and scales. Some key producers and composers at this time were Pierre Schaeffer, Pierre Boulez, Pierre Henry, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, John Cage and Yanis Xenakis. A lot of Pierres, I know. In the early 70s, the genre was making progression towards exclusively electronic sound, with Autobahn and Kraftwerk being the first almost entirely electronic songs. This then leads into the work by Jean-Michel Jarre, potentially the most renowned name when talking about the history of EDM. He produced Oxygenre single Part 4 and made massive strides in the development of electronic sound. Gary Newman played a massive part bringing the genre into the mainstream lights, especially with cars. He was a punk rocker in his formative years, but later evolved into what is known now as synth pop. Moving to the mid-80s, the electronic sound began to link up with the rising hip-hop genre, with artists like Afrika Bambaataa taking a heavy influence on his song Planet Rock.
Yeah, just hit me. Just taste the funk and hit me. Just get on down and hit me.
The 90s brought the genre even closer to mainstream pop charts, with key work by DJ Shadow, Bjork, Howie B, Laika and Lamb. Now into recent years, the clear observation is that electronic music has diversified into different subgenres. For example, subgenres include electronic goth rock, drum and bass, chiptune techno and synth pop. The key element of electronic music was the lack of traditional musical instruments, though this has had a prominent effect on the whole music industry, with beats and drops dominating mainstream music. The electronic music scene has moved on from trying to make unconventional instruments creating unrealistic sounds and has moved on to being focused on using elements of pop to influence it. It is likely to progress in a similar direction and unlikely to return to the old instruments like the theremin. Now onto our favourite segment of each episode. Let's see what some youngsters have to say about electronic music. So in one word, please describe the following genres, okay? Just the first word that comes to mind. Electronic.
Festivals.
Electric keyboard.
Technology.
Festivals.
Fun.
Okay, so on to the next section now. I'm going to mention those exact same genres again, and I want you to say whether they have a future in music with just a yes or no answer. Electronic.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching episode 5 of the History of Music. Make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode where we will talk about the history of pop. I've been your host Shane White. Until next time, peace out.